Now, Brazil is one of the BRIC countries, and you're saying forget BRIC, there's a whole new category. What's that called?
FANG.
FANG.
That, the investment community and people in general, I think, love acronyms, right? So they have a particular fascination for it. And if you look at what's happened this decade, so BRIC was the big theme of the last decade, right? When all the stock markets in these countries were booming in dollar terms. They went up by multiple times from Brazil to Russia to India. This decade, look what's happening. In dollar terms, the stock markets of these countries have fallen by 30%.
The BRIC countries?
Yes, the BRIC countries.
Right.
And on the tech front, and this really seems like the only party in town.
FANG is to do with tech?
Yes, I mean, like, this is the acronym coming out of the...
FANG is kind of
this is coming out of the tech world, that these 4 stocks, which capture the sort of, tech mania going on in the US and other parts of the world, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, these stocks are up as a basket 250% at a time when the BRIC economy stock markets are down by 30%. In fact, some of the
the only party in town right now.
Yeah, because tech's really been the dominant sector. This
280% difference between BRIC and FANG.
Right, and even more interestingly, that some of the market capitalization of some of these stocks is larger than many emerging markets individually.
What?
So in terms of that, these are really gigantic stocks. And even and this also tells you about just how much America dominates today as a financial part in the world. If you look at the 10 largest companies in the world today by market value, I think for the first time in recent history, all 10 are American. So, and this sort of captures this trend that this is where really the markets have gone up a lot, and they're the cutting edge of all the
10 biggest countries in the world are all American.
Yeah, 10 biggest companies in the world by market value. By market value, they're all American in the world. And this, let's say, 10 years ago, the number was like, split.
Other countries
exactly.
Would be like
America would always be the highest, but it would be split. For the first time, all 10 are American companies today. And the FANG versus BRIC chart captures what's happening in the world quite accurately.
So you call it the only party in town, but you're also saying it's a party that's behind closed doors. Let's have a look at what Ruchir means by a party that's behind closed doors. Sounds intriguing. There are 142 unicorns. A unicorn is a company which is over $1 billion in value, but is not listed. It's privately held, so it's not tested on the stock market. That's a unicorn, right? I don't know how the name came about, but yeah, it's commonly used. And out of those 142, 88 are American. And Asia, apart from India, 31, and most of that's China,
yes,
perhaps?
A lot of them are China.
Europe altogether, 16 only, the whole of Europe compared to 88 of America. And India on its own, 7, which is Flipkart, Snapdeal, Ola, Immobi, Paytm, Zomato, and Quikr. Not bad, 7 actually. So, I mean, it's really a complete change. We don't look at countries, we look at FANGs now, right?
Yeah, because even like in India, there's been so much interest, as you know, in terms of what's happening here in the
startup.
Exactly, like in the startup space. That's really the hot new area, and this captures it quite well.
How much would it have changed? We're saying like 140 odd now. How much would it have been 2, 3, 4 years ago?
No, because this is really like the fashionable trend of this decade, which is that in the historically companies would sort of want to list quite quickly after they got to reasonable size, but now they're quite happy to remain private and to still get funding from various sources. So I'd say that we have about 140 odd unicorns in the world today, but before this trend really took off from 2009, there were probably not more than 40, 50 unicorns in the world. So
40, 50 to 140 or
yeah, so there's been an explosion of unicorns across the world, and many of them were even founded after the global financial crisis of 2009. So this is really a very recent trend where you party behind closed doors, which really tells you that you're quite happy to enjoy these high valuations in private in terms of both the investors and the companies, whereas 10, 15 years ago, the fashionable thing to do would be to go public. The moment you got to
they were waiting for
size.
it to get even higher before they go public. I mean, we've seen Alibaba at 225 billion.
Well, the classic case is Uber. Uber is the largest so-called unicorn in the world today. And I think that it's gone up from an initial round of funding at $600 million.
That's less than $1 billion.
Yes, to 60 billion valuation today. So that just tells you about how much growth has taken place in the private space.
there's a worry about it and a positive side. That the worry is, can you really value a non-listed company? Because it's like people who are part of a club buying from each other. And the other thing is that the good part is that even if they go bust, the average shareholder won't get affected.
Yeah, so in terms of, I think that is there. But I also feel that in terms of that we are now moving into a stage, especially as funding probably becomes more difficult, as global risk appetite is sort of shrinking, where many of these companies really have to execute. And let's not forget that in every sort of major cycle, stock market cycle of the last 20 years, towards the end, we have seen this kind of phenomena where some tech companies become extremely popular, they become very hyped up. We know in 2000 that happened, even in 2007 you happened. But some of these companies sort of, don't make it after 5 to 10 years. They sort of fall off the map. So that's the one sort of thing to be very aware of in the tech sector. There's a very high mortality rate, that the survivors do very well, but for every one survivor, there are many people who just fall by the wayside. And the so-called horsemen or the stars of the previous cycles, those fade away in the next cycle. So it's
high risk, high return.
Yes, very high risk, high return sector.
Right. I have to ask you, I had a group of startup guys I was talking to, and they said that this year you're not going to get the kind of funding that you've had. This, any fund, 5 million, 10 million. It's going to be a year of execution and tougher to get funds. Is that what you agree?
Yeah, I think so, because I mean, in terms of if the global economy is going to be growing much more slowly, and if in the public markets, the stock markets, people are going to be much more worried about how the global economy is shaping up, it's bound to have some contagion effect on the private market space as well.
But on the other hand, if BRICS aren't doing well, might as well go to the FANGs, right? BRICS and FANGs.